Hi everybody, this is Maya Good and this is my NaNoWriMo update. I was not sure if I was going to do National Novel Writing Month this year, and I've come to a conclusion. And so first, in case anyone doesn't know, which is what everybody says on these videos, National Novel Writing Month is the month of November when people from all over the world attempt to write a 50,000 word novel in a month. I've done it multiple times. I've won twice. And last year, I really wasn't feeling it and I failed. I spent a lot of time doing National Novel Writing Month preparation videos. And by the time the month actually came, I didn't have any of the passion for the story that I had prepared. And so I ended up just not really doing it past the first week. My heart just wasn't in it. And I was kind of frazzled. And so this year, I was really torn about whether to do it because, yet again, I wasn't feeling it. I have all these rough drafts on my plate. I have a lot of work that I'm trying to get caught up on, a lot of audio editing to do. I'm just, things are moving, things are changing. And then I decided last week that I am going to go ahead and do it, but I'm going to do it differently. And so in National Novel Writing Month, if you're doing it the way they tell you to do it, you're starting a new project, it's 50,000 words, 1,667 words a day for all of November. It's preferable that you not do memoir because memoir tends to take people off the rails too easily. And there's a lot of other things that people do that aren't officially NaNoWriMo, like editing during the month. They're doing poetry during the month. And so for people that are doing NaNoWriMo, but they aren't doing it the official way, they're called rebels. And I've decided that I'm going to be a rebel this year because one of my goals for next year is to submit a lot of short stories to journals next year. Ideally, I would like to submit to a month. I've done a lot of short stories through Bradbury Challenge, but only a few of them are up to the level that I would feel comfortable submitting. And so I want to write new stories with a different focus and I want to approach them differently. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to focus on short stories for all of November in preparation for this huge submission push that I'm going to have for 2017. So how am I doing my short stories? I've submitted short stories to journals before. I've gotten some personalized responses. I've gotten rejections, but my heart wasn't all in it. When I got them back, I'd resubmit them once or twice, and then eventually I just gave up and I said, these stories don't really fit any journal. They're literary fiction. They've all got child narrators. Each one in one way or another would turn off a journal. Odd Habit has a moment, it's a literary fiction story, but really it's a serial killer in the future story. The Raft has some elements where a literary journal isn't going to necessarily pick it up. It's not flowery enough. It's very childlike, and I'm sure there are journals that it would fit in, but in able to find journals that fit these stories, it is so difficult. And what I've discovered is I'm approaching it the wrong way. So last month I decided that I was going to do the Carve Premium contest. And Literary Roadhouse has read a lot of stories from Carve magazine. It's one of the magazines that I would just crawl over like boiling hot coals and broken glass to see my name in Carve magazine. And because I know it so well, I knew that the stories I had didn't really fit. And so instead of just writing a bunch more stories and then trying to find journals for them, what I've done is I've made a list of journals that I would want to be in, journals that I enjoy, journals that I read a lot of stories out of. And I'm actually writing stories with that journal in mind. And the first one was a story that I just finished, and I love it. It's probably some of the best writing I've ever done. It was especially noticeable when I took it to my critique group because they've been critiquing my novel for a while. And that novel was written 3 years ago. And while I'm revising it before I'm sending it in, it still has a lot of the flaws that my old writing had. And the critique that I got on my new story was still just as robust and just as detailed, but they were critiquing very different things. I could tell that my strengths were stronger. I could tell that some of my weaknesses were no longer weaknesses, and that the weaknesses I did have were more easily fixed, or they were weaknesses that you wouldn't have seen if you were focusing on the more obvious weaknesses. And so my writing has improved significantly over the last couple of years. Um, so that story is almost done, and I'm sat down and I've created a list. I would like to ideally have a list of 30 journals. I know I'm not going to write 30 stories, but ideally I would like to have a list of 30 journals that I really want to focus on submitting to next year. And then for NaNoWriMo, I'm going to pick one and write a story for that journal, and then pick another one and write a story for that journal and get to 50,000 words that way. So that is what's happening for my NaNoWriMo. I think it's interesting to see, it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. I've never done something this way. And I would also be really interested in how other people are doing NaNoWriMo as a rebel. There are so many people that are doing it different ways. They're editing, or they're finishing an already existing project, or they're doing 2 novellas instead of 1 novel. And I think us rebels kind of need to stick together and keep each other going, because it's easy to get off track when you're not doing the exact same thing as everybody else. So yes, I am doing NaNoWriMo. That is how I'm doing it. I will be doing updates, but not like super frequent. It'll be like weekly. I'll probably do them every Saturday, just because Saturday is my critique day. It's easy for me to do videos that day. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to November. It's coming up super, super fast next Monday, man. So until then, ciao.